My name's Ethan Cross, and I'm 26 years old. I spend my days swinging hammers on construction sites across Chicago's South Side, and my nights camped out in the waiting room of Northwestern Memorial Hospital. It's not the life I imagined when I graduated high school 8 years ago. But then again, nothing about the last 2 years has gone according to plan. The fluorescent lights in this place never really turn off. They just dim around midnight, casting everything in this sickly yellow glow that makes everyone look half dead. I've memorized every crack in the linoleum, every motivational poster about staying strong that lines these sterile hallways. I know which vending machine has the best coffee. None of them, but C7 is slightly less terrible than the others. I know which nurses work which shifts, which doctors make eye contact, and which ones hurry past with their heads down. And I know exactly when Dr. Claire Morrison makes her rounds. It started about 3 months ago. I'd been coming here every night since my sister Lily got admitted for her third round of chemo. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, all they call it. Like giving it an acronym makes it less terrifying. She's 19, supposed to be finishing her sophomore year at DePaul, worried about boys and midterms and what to do with her life. Instead, she's in room 847, hooked up to machines that beep and whir, pumping poison into her veins in hopes of killing the cells that are trying to kill her. Mom died when Lily was 7 and I was 14. Dad checked out emotionally right after, buried himself in work, and then actually died of a heart attack 4 years ago. So it's just us now. Me and Lily against the world, except the world's winning. That first night I met Claire. I was standing in front of the vending machine at 1:17 a.m., trying to decide if I wanted stale pretzels or stale cookies. My hands were still dusty from the site. We'd been demoing an old warehouse in Pilsen, and I'd rushed straight here without showering. My back ached. My eyes burned. I'd been awake for 20 hours. "The pretzels are safer," a voice said behind me. I turned. She was maybe 5'8", athletic build under her white coat, with dark brown hair pulled back in a messy bun. Her face had that particular kind of exhaustion I'd come to recognize, the kind that comes from making life and death decisions while running on 3 hours of sleep. But her eyes were kind. Hazel, catching the vending machine's glow. She held a styrofoam cup of what I assumed was coffee. "Yeah," I said, turning back to the machine. "Why's that?" "The cookies are from 2019. I've watched them sit there for months. I think they're developing sentience." I laughed, actually laughed, which felt foreign. "Good to know. You a regular here too?" "You could say that. I work here, pediatric oncology." She paused, and something shifted in her expression. Recognition, maybe. "You're Lily Cross's brother. Ethan, right?" My stomach dropped. Doctors didn't usually approach family members in vending machine areas at 1 in the morning. "Is she—" "She's fine, sleeping. I just finished checking on her." Claire extended her hand. "Dr. Claire Morrison. I'm on her care team. I've seen you here almost every night, but we keep missing each other during actual rounds." I shook her hand, relief flooding through me. "Yeah, I work construction. Can't exactly leave a site in the middle of the day. I get it. Family first." She fed dollars into the machine, punched a button. A bag of trail mix tumbled down. "You eat dinner. Define dinner. Food consumed in the last 6 hours." I thought about it. "Does a protein bar at noon count?" She sighed. The kind of sigh that said she'd heard this too many times. "There's a cafeteria on the second floor. Stays open till 2. Go eat something real. Lily needs you healthy." "I'm fine. You're running on fumes." Her voice was firm, but not unkind. "I see it all the time. family members who forget to take care of themselves while caring for someone else. You can't pour from an empty cup, Ethan. That on one of those posters upstairs? No, that's from my therapist. But it's true. She started walking towards the elevators, then glanced back. Come on, I'm going down there anyway. Might as well make sure you eat. I don't know why I followed her. Maybe because she was the first person in weeks who'd talked to me like I was more than just the brother. Maybe because I was too tired to argue. Or maybe because there was something about her, a straightforwardness, a warmth beneath the professional exterior that made me trust her. The cafeteria was nearly empty. A janitor mopped in the corner. A couple of nurses sat at a table near the windows, picking at salads. Claire led me to the hot food section, where a bored-looking worker waited behind warming trays of dubious mac and cheese. 2 of whatever's edible, Claire told him, then looked at me. You paying or am I? I got it, I said, pulling out my wallet. We sat at a table by the window overlooking Michigan Avenue. The city sparkled below us, oblivious to the suffering happening in this building. Claire poked at her mac and cheese with a plastic fork. So, she said, tell me about Lily. Not the patient, the sister. I hesitated. Most doctors asked about symptoms, about how she was handling treatment. They didn't ask about who she was. She's stubborn, I finally said. Always has been. When she was 6, she decided she wanted to learn piano. We couldn't afford lessons, so she taught herself from YouTube videos. Drove Dad crazy, her banging on that old keyboard for hours. Claire smiled. She still play when she has the energy. We brought a small keyboard to her room. Sometimes I hear her playing at night, these sad, beautiful melodies she makes up. My throat tightened. She's the good one, the smart one. Got a full scholarship to DePaul, wants to be a teacher. She's supposed to have this whole life ahead of her. She still can. Can she? I met Claire's eyes. Be honest with me. What are her odds? Claire set down her fork. Her type of all has about a 40% survival rate with standard treatment. She's young, otherwise healthy, which helps. But she's not responding as well as we'd hoped to this round. If we can't get her into remission, she stopped, seeming to choose her words carefully. We're exploring all options, including bone marrow transplant. But we need to find a match first. I got tested. I'm not compatible. I know. I saw your results. She paused. There's a national registry. We're searching. But the odds of finding an unrelated match, especially for someone with Lily's specific markers, it's tough. The mac and cheese tasted like cardboard. But I kept eating because Claire was watching me with those assessing doctor eyes. So what do we do? Just wait and hope? We keep treating her. We keep looking, and we don't give up. She leaned forward. I've been doing this for 11 years, Ethan. I've seen miracles. I've also seen... She stopped again. The point is, every case is different. Lily's a fighter. I can see that, and she's got you. That matters more than you know. I'm just a guy who swings a hammer. You're a guy who shows up every single night, who sits in that waiting room until they kick you out, who asks the nurses detailed questions about her medication schedule. You're more than a hammer. She smiled slightly. Though I have to ask, why construction? You seem like you've got more going on upstairs. I shrugged. It's honest work. Good money. And after Dad died, I needed something physical. Something where I could see results at the end of the day. You tear down a wall, you build a new one. Simple. Nothing about life is simple. Yeah, I'm learning that. We sat in silence for a moment, the fluorescent lights humming above us. Then Claire's pager went off. She checked it, grimaced. Duty calls, but Ethan, eat regularly, sleep when you can. Lily's going to need you for the long haul. Thanks, Doc. Claire, she corrected. We're going to be seeing a lot of each other. Might as well be on a first-name basis. She left, her white coat disappearing through the cafeteria doors. I sat there finishing my terrible mac and cheese, thinking about what she'd said. 40% survival rate. Bone marrow transplant. Miracles. I didn't believe in miracles. But sitting there, watching the city lights blink against the darkness, I found myself hoping anyway. The next night I saw her again. Same time, same vending machine. She was feeding quarters into the slot, cursing under her breath when they kept getting rejected. Machine hates you too, I asked, walking up beside her. She jumped slightly, then relaxed when she saw me. Oh, it's you. Yeah, this thing's been eating my money all week. I swear it's sentient and malicious. Here. I pulled out a crumpled dollar bill, smoothed it, fed it in. What do you want? Coffee black C7? I punched the buttons. The machine groaned, whirred, and produced a cup. I handed it to her. My hero, she said dryly, but she was smiling. You eat today. Had a sandwich at lunch and dinner. See? I'm a good patient. I'm not your doctor. You sure act like it. She took a sip of coffee, made a face. This is truly terrible. Welcome to my world. I've been drinking this sludge for 3 months. Why don't you just bring coffee from home? Because by the time I get here from the site, anything I bring would be cold. And cold, bad coffee is worse than hot bad coffee. Claire leaned against the vending machine, studying me. She looked less exhausted tonight, her hair down around her shoulders instead of pulled back. She wore jeans under her white coat, sneakers instead of professional shoes. You know, there's a Starbucks 2 blocks away. Stays open till midnight. Can't leave the hospital. What if something happens? The nurses have your number. They'll call. Still. I fed money into the machine, got my own terrible coffee. Feels wrong, being too far away? She nodded slowly, like she understood something I hadn't said out loud. You're afraid if you leave, something bad will happen. Like your presence here is the only thing keeping her alive. That's crazy. That's trauma. She said it gently without judgment. When you lose people suddenly, your mom, your dad, you start believing that if you just stay vigilant enough, you can prevent the next loss. But Ethan, you can't control this. None of us can. Then what's the point of me being here? So she knows she's not alone. So when she wakes up scared at 3 a.m., she can text you and know you'll text right back. So she has someone to complain to about the food, the boredom, the fear. Claire's voice softened. You're not here to keep her alive. You're here to remind her what she's living for. My chest felt tight. I stared into my coffee cup, blinking hard. You always this direct with patients' families? Only the ones I think can handle it. She paused. I saw Lily today. She asked about you, said you looked tired. Pot kettle. Fair. I'm tired. 30-hour shift. We had 2 emergencies back to back, and I've been living on vending machine food in spite. She drained her coffee, tossed the cup in the trash. But I'm going home now. You should too. I will, soon. Ethan, I just want to check on her one more time. Claire sighed, but she didn't argue. Okay. But promise me you'll get actual sleep tonight, not that half-dozing thing you do in the waiting room chair. How do you know I do that? I've walked past you at 4 a.m. You look like you're in a hostage situation with that chair. Despite everything, I laughed. It's not that bad. It's exactly that bad. She started toward the elevator, then turned back. Same time tomorrow? What? Vending machine coffee, 1 a.m. I'll even spring for the pretzels. I didn't know what to say. Was she asking me on a date? No, that was insane. She was Lily's doctor. She was just being nice. You don't have to. I know I don't have to, but 30-hour shifts are brutal, and misery loves company. Plus, someone needs to make sure you're eating. She smiled, and it transformed her whole face. See you tomorrow, Ethan. The elevator doors closed behind her, and I stood there holding my terrible coffee, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Not quite hope, not quite happiness, but something adjacent to both. It became a routine. Every night around 1 a.m., after I'd sat with Lily during visiting hours, after I'd talked to the night nurses, after I'd paced the waiting room reading the same magazines over and over, I'd find my way to that vending machine. And Claire would be there. Sometimes she was fresh into her shift, energized and talkative. Sometimes she was 20 hours deep, barely coherent, held together by caffeine and willpower. But she always showed up. We'd get our terrible coffee, sometimes food, and we'd sit in the cafeteria or the small courtyard on the third floor when the weather was decent. We talked about everything and nothing. She told me about growing up in suburban Minneapolis, about her parents' messy divorce when she was 12, about deciding to become a doctor after her younger brother nearly died from appendicitis, about medical school at Northwestern, about her residency, about the first patient she lost, and how she cried in a supply closet for an hour. You never get used to it, she said one night, staring into her coffee. People think doctors become numb, but we don't. We just get better at compartmentalizing, at functioning through the grief. That sounds exhausting. It is. But it's also a privilege to be there in people's worst moments, to try to make a difference. She looked up at me. What about you? What did you want to be when you were a kid, before life got complicated? I thought about it. Architect. I used to draw buildings all the time, these elaborate designs with impossible angles. Dad said I was wasting my time, that I should learn a real trade. And construction was the compromise? Construction was reality. Lily needed to go to college. Someone had to pay for it. Dad's life insurance covered some, but I shrugged. Architecture school's expensive. Construction jobs pay well, and you can start right away. Easy choice. Doesn't sound easy at all. Sounds like you sacrificed your dream for her. She's my sister. It's what you do. Claire was quiet for a moment. You know, there's still time. You're 26. You could go back to school. With what money? What time? I work 6 days a week. And whatever hours I'm not working, I'm here. After, she said quietly. When Lily's better. When this is over. If it's over? When? She repeated firmly. I don't deal in ifs, Ethan. Only whens. I wanted to believe her. Sitting there in that ugly cafeteria with its fluorescent lights and commercial-grade disinfectant smell, I wanted to believe that there was an after. That Lily would beat this. That I'd have time to think about my own life again. Tell me about your brother, I said, changing the subject. The one who had appendicitis. Her expression softened. Ryan. He's 32 now. Lives in Seattle, works in tech. Married with a daughter, completely healthy. He sends me pictures of my niece weekly to remind me why I do this job. She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo of a little girl with Claire's smile. That's Maya. She's 4. Terror on wheels. She's beautiful. She is. Claire tucked the phone away. When Ryan got sick, I was 17. We were on a camping trip, middle of nowhere. He started complaining about stomach pain, and my parents thought it was just something he ate. But I just finished AP biology, and I recognized the symptoms. I made them drive 3 hours to the nearest hospital. His appendix was about to rupture. You saved his life. I listened, that's all. But it made me realize I wanted to be the person who listens, who catches what others miss. She met my eyes. That's why I became a pediatric oncologist. Kids can't always articulate what's wrong. You have to pay attention to everything, every small change. Is that why you noticed I wasn't eating? Partly. Also because you looked like death warmed over. She smiled. You look better now. Still tired, but better. These midnight meals are helping. Good, that's the idea. We fell into a comfortable silence. The cafeteria was empty except for us and the night janitor, who'd started giving us knowing looks whenever we came in. Like we were some kind of couple, instead of two people bonding over shared exhaustion and institutional coffee. Can I ask you something? I said finally. Sure. Why are you doing this? The coffee, the talks? You've got to have better things to do with your breaks? Claire considered the question. Honestly, because I've been where you are. Not exactly, but close enough. When Ryan was sick, I practically lived at the hospital. And everyone treated me like I was invisible, like I was just furniture. The nurses were kind but busy. The doctors barely looked at me. I was just the worried sister in the corner. She traced a pattern on the table with her finger. I swore when I became a doctor I'd never make families feel invisible. So yeah, maybe I'm breaking some unspoken rule by having coffee with my patient's brother. But you're a person, Ethan. You deserve to be seen. Something in my chest cracked open. Thank you, I managed. Don't thank me. Just keep showing up. Keep taking care of yourself. That's all I ask. Her pager went off again. She checked it, sighed. Emergency admit. 7-year-old suspected relapse. She stood, draining the last of her coffee. Rain check on tomorrow. You're working another double? Triple, actually, but I'll find you. 1 a.m., vending machine. It's a date. She said it casually, but the word hung in the air between us. Date. She realized what she'd said, her cheeks flushing slightly. I mean, not a date, just, a standing appointment. I know what you meant, I said, even though part of me wished I didn't. She left quickly, and I sat there alone in the cafeteria, thinking about the way she'd blushed, the way my heart had jumped at that single word. This was dangerous territory. She was Lily's doctor. There were rules, boundaries, ethical lines you didn't cross. But sitting there in that empty room, I couldn't deny what I was starting to feel. 3 weeks into our vending machine meetings, everything changed. I'd had a brutal day at the site. We were renovating a century-old building in the Loop, and the whole structure had turned out to be more unstable than the initial inspection suggested. I'd spent 12 hours reinforcing beams, breathing in dust, watching my crew, chief, have a nervous breakdown over the budget. By the time I got to the hospital, I was covered in grime and ready to collapse. But when I walked into Lily's room, she wasn't asleep. She was sitting up in bed, her skin gray, her eyes hollow. The machines around her were beeping frantically, and 2 nurses were adjusting her IV lines. What's happening? I demanded, rushing to her side. She spiked a fever, one of the nurses said calmly. We're getting it under control. Ethan, Lily whispered, her voice raspy. I don't feel good. I know, Lil, I know. I grabbed her hand. It was burning hot. You're going to be okay. But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. I'd seen this before. The gray skin, the hollow eyes. This was how Mom had looked in those final days. This was the beginning of the end. The nurse ushered me out so the doctor on call could examine her. I paced the hallway, my hands shaking, my mind racing. Where was Claire? She'd said she was working tonight. Why wasn't she here? As if summoned by my thoughts, she appeared at the end of the hallway, practically running. Her hair was disheveled, her white coat half unbuttoned. Ethan, I just heard I was in surgery. What happened? Fever. The nurses said, come with me. She grabbed my arm, pulled me into an empty consultation room. Sit down. I don't want to sit. I want to know what's happening to my sister. And I'll tell you. but you need to sit before you fall down. She pushed me gently into a chair. Lily's developed neutropenic fever. It's a complication we were worried about. Her white blood cell count has dropped so low that she can't fight off even basic infections. We're starting broad-spectrum antibiotics now. Is she going to die? The question came out raw, stripped of any pretense. Claire crouched down in front of me, taking both my hands in hers. I'm not going to lie to you. This is serious. If we can't get the fever down in the next 24 hours, we'll need to move her to the ICU. But Ethan, we've got good protocols for this. We've caught it early. She's getting the best care. That's what they said about Mom, that she was getting the best care, and then she died anyway. I know you're scared. You have every right to be. But this isn't the same situation. Lily's young, she's strong, and we're not giving up on her. Claire squeezed my hands. I'm not giving up on her. I looked at our joined hands, at the way her thumbs were stroking small circles against my palms. It should have been inappropriate. It probably was inappropriate. But in that moment, it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart completely. I can't lose her, I whispered. She's all I have left. You're not going to lose her. Not tonight. Not if I have anything to say about it. Claire stood, but kept one hand on my shoulder. I need to go check on her. But you need to go home. Shower. Sleep for a few hours. Come back in the morning. I'm not leaving. Ethan, I'm not leaving, I repeated, my voice harder. You can call security if you want, but I'm not going anywhere. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. But you're not sitting in that awful waiting room chair. There's an on-call room on this floor that's empty. Come on. She led me down the hallway to a small room with a narrow bed, a sink, and nothing else. It's not much, but it's better than the chair. Try to rest. I'll come get you if anything changes. Claire. She paused in the doorway. Thank you for everything. For the coffee, the talks, for giving a shit. Her expression softened. Get some rest, Ethan. The door closed behind her, and I was alone. I sat on the edge of the bed, my head in my hands, and let myself cry for the first time in months. Great heaving sobs that shook my whole body. I cried for Lily, for Mom, for Dad, for the life we were supposed to have. I cried until I had nothing left. And then I lay back on that narrow bed and stared at the ceiling, waiting for morning. Sometime around 4 a.m., the door opened. Claire slipped in quietly, probably thinking I was asleep. I heard her move towards the bed, felt the mattress dip as she sat down. Ethan, she whispered, you awake? Yeah. Fever's coming down. She's stable, resting comfortably. Relief flooded through me. Thank God. She was asking for you. I told her you were here, that you'd see her in the morning. Claire's hand found mine in the darkness. I'm sorry I couldn't come check on you sooner. It's been chaos. You're here now. We sat like that for a moment, hands joined, not speaking. Then Claire said, very quietly, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Doing what? This. Sitting here, holding your hand, getting emotionally involved with a patient's family. She laughed softly, bitterly. I have a whole speech I give to residents about professional boundaries. And here I am, breaking every rule in the book. You can leave, I understand. That's the thing. I don't want to leave. She shifted closer. These past few weeks, our talks, they matter to me. You matter to me, and that's terrifying because I don't know how to navigate this. The ethics of it, the optics, the fact that you're going through hell and I'm supposed to be your sister's doctor, nothing more. My heart was hammering. What are you saying, Claire? I'm saying I'm 34 years old and I haven't let myself feel anything real for anyone in years. I'm saying this job has consumed my entire life, and I convinced myself that was enough. But then you showed up at that vending machine looking like you'd been through a war, and you made me laugh, and you asked me actual questions about my life. And she stopped, took a breath. I can't do this. Not now. Not while Lily's my patient. It wouldn't be fair to any of us. So what are we doing? I don't know. Being friends? Trying not to cross a line we both want to cross? She squeezed my hand. I just needed you to know that this isn't just me being nice, that when I show up at that vending machine, it's because I want to see you, not out of obligation. I want to see you too, I admitted. I think about you all day. About what we'll talk about, what you'll say. You're the only good thing about this whole nightmare. Ethan, I know the timing's wrong. I know there's rules and boundaries and 1,000 reasons why this is a bad idea. But Claire, I stopped, not quite ready to say what I was feeling. I'm glad you told me. We sat in silence, the weight of unspoken feelings hanging between us. Finally, she stood. I should go. Rounds start in an hour. But I'll check on Lily throughout the day, and I'll make sure the team keeps you updated. Will I see you at the vending machine? Every night, rain or shine, that's a promise. She paused at the door. Get some sleep, Ethan. After she left, I lay back down, my mind racing. Everything was complicated. Lily's illness, Claire's job, the feelings growing between us that we couldn't quite act on. But for the first time in months, I felt something other than despair. It was fragile and uncertain, but it was there. Hope, terrifying, exhilarating hope. Over the next 2 weeks, Lily stabilized. The fever broke, her blood counts improved slightly, and she was able to move back to her regular room. But the scare had made something clear to everyone on her medical team. The current treatment wasn't working well enough. We needed to find a bone marrow donor, and we needed to find one soon. Claire explained it to me during one of our vending machine meetings. We've expanded the search nationally. We're also reaching out to international registries. But Ethan, I have to be honest with you, the odds aren't great. Lily's ethnic background makes it harder. She needs a near-perfect match, and those are rare. So what do? We organize a donor drive. Get as many people registered as possible. Cast the widest net we can. She pulled out her tablet, showed me statistics, success rates, logistical details. I've done this before. It works. We just need community support. How do we get that? We get creative. She smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her in days. We make noise. Social media campaigns, local news coverage, partnership with the National Registry. We make Lily's story impossible to ignore. And you'll help with this? Even though you're already working insane hours? Ethan, I'm invested in this case, in Lily, in... She stopped, caught herself. In seeing this through. Yes, I'll help. We'll do this together. Together. That word again, carrying weight, it shouldn't. We started planning that night. Claire connected me with the hospital's community outreach coordinator. We set up a meeting with Be the Match, the National Registry. Within days, we had a plan. A massive donor drive in Grant Park, coordinated with the hospital, with food trucks and music and speakers sharing their transplant stories. But organizing something that big required more than just me and Claire. It required a team, a community. I started with my construction crew. Most of these guys had been with me for years. Marco, who'd worked with my dad, big, tattooed, and secretly soft-hearted. Jamie, a 22-year-old kid who could frame a wall faster than anyone I'd ever seen. Deshaun, our electrical guy who had 6 kids and told the worst dad jokes imaginable. I gathered them during lunch one day at the site, sitting on stacks of lumber, eating sandwiches from the bodega down the street. So you all know about Lily, I started. How she's been fighting leukemia. Marco nodded. We've been asking about her, boss. How's she doing? Not great. She needs a bone marrow transplant, but we haven't found a match. So we're organizing this big donor drive next month, trying to get as many people registered as possible. I took a breath. I need help. Building booths, setting up tents, handling logistics. I know it's a lot to ask. Count me in, Marco said immediately. We all are, right, guys? The others nodded. Jamie spoke up. My cousin had leukemia when we were kids. She didn't make it. I'll do whatever you need, boss. Deshawn slapped my back. We're crew, man. Crew takes care of crew, Lily's family. I felt my throat tighten. These guys barely knew my sister, but they were ready to drop everything to help her. Thank you. Seriously, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just tell us where to show up. I also reached out to Lily's friends from DePaul. Most of them had drifted away once she got sick. Not out of malice, but out of that uncomfortable not knowing what to say that happens when someone your age is suddenly facing mortality. But when I posted about the drive in her class Facebook group, the response was overwhelming. One girl, Maria, reached out directly. I felt so guilty for not visiting more. I didn't know how to help, but this I can do. I'll rally the whole campus. And she did. Within a week, student organizations were sharing our event. Professors were offering extra credit for students who volunteered. And the campus newspaper ran a front-page story about Lily with the headline, "Help find a match for one of our own." Claire, meanwhile, was working her magic at the hospital. She convinced the administration to co-sponsor the event, which meant access to medical staff, equipment, and official backing. She got local news stations interested. She even got a local musician, some indie band with a modest following, to agree to play for free. We met every night at that vending machine to coordinate, our plans sprawling across napkins and the backs of hospital forms. The cafeteria staff started setting aside a table for us, and the night janitor began bringing us better coffee from the doctor's lounge. You two are here more than some of the residents? He joked one night. We're committed, Claire said, not looking up from her laptop. To the cause or to each other? We both froze. Claire recovered first. To saving lives, Marcus. That's what we do here. He chuckled, pushed his mop cart away. Whatever you say, Doc. After he left, Claire finally looked at me. Are we that obvious? I don't think we're anything. Yet. Yet, she repeated softly. That's a dangerous word. Maybe, but it's honest. She reached across the table, her hand covering mine. After this is over, after we find Lily a match, after she's in recovery, can we talk about yet then? That's a lot of afters. I'm an optimist. Comes with the job. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. I just need to know we're both on the same page. That this isn't just me projecting onto a kind, exhausted guy who happens to be at the hospital every night. It's not just you. I think about you constantly, Claire. When I'm at work, when I'm trying to sleep, when I'm sitting with Lily, you've become... I struggled to find the words. Essential, like water or air. I don't know how I functioned before these talks. Ethan! But you're right. The timing's wrong. Lily has to come first. She has to. So yeah, let's table the yet. Let's focus on the drive, on finding her a match. And after, I turned my hand over, lacing my fingers through hers. After, we'll figure out what we are. She nodded, her eyes bright with unshed tears. After. The donor drive was scheduled for a Saturday in late September. We'd been planning for 3 weeks, and the day arrived with perfect fall weather, crisp air, brilliant blue sky, leaves just starting to turn. Grant Park was transformed. White tents lined the paths. Volunteers in matching t-shirts, designed by Jamie, surprisingly artistic, directed the crowd. Food trucks were parked along Michigan Avenue, their menus discounted for registered donors. I stood near the main tent, watching people stream in. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. College students, families, elderly couples, construction workers in their high-vis vests, coming straight from job sites. Marco and the crew had built a small stage where speakers shared their transplant stories between sets from the band. Claire was everywhere at once, talking to news cameras, coordinating with the Be the Match staff, making sure the medical screening stations ran smoothly. She'd pulled her hair back, wore jeans, and one of our event t-shirts, and I'd never seen her more beautiful. Not polished or professional, but real, passionate, alive. Lily was there too, in a wheelchair, bundled in blankets despite the mild weather. Her friends from DePaul surrounded her, taking selfies, posting to social media, encouraging everyone to register. She looked tired but happy, her bald head covered by a bright purple beanie Maria had knitted for her. "This is insane," she said when I checked on her. "All these people just because of me? Not just because of you. Because people want to help. Because you matter." I crouched down beside her wheelchair. "How you feeling?" "Tired, but good tired. Hopeful tired." She grabbed my hand. "Ethan, thank you for all of this. I know how hard you've been working." "I'm not the only one. Claire's been—" "I know. She's amazing." Lily's eyes sparkled with mischief. "She also looks at you like you hung the moon. Just saying." I felt my face heat. "Lil, I'm just saying, when this is over, when I'm better, you should ask her out. Properly. None of this vending machine friendship stuff. We're not. It's complicated. Life's complicated. Doesn't mean you can't be happy." She squeezed my hand. "Promise me you'll try. After." There was that word again. After. As if Lily's recovery was a certainty, not a desperate hope. "I promise," I said. By mid-afternoon, we'd registered over 2,000 people. Claire found me as I was helping break down one of the tents, her face flushed with excitement. "Ethan, this is incredible. The Be the Match coordinator said this is one of their most successful drives in the Midwest this year. We've already gotten 3 potential matches flagged for other patients on the registry. But not for Lily." Her excitement dimmed slightly. "Not yet, but it's early. Sometimes matches come through weeks or months later. The important thing is, we got all these people registered. We expanded the pool. So now we wait. Now we wait." She helped me fold the tent tarp. "You did good today, Ethan. Really good." "We did good. Couldn't have pulled this off without you." We worked in silence for a moment, the park slowly emptying around us. The band had packed up. The food trucks were driving away. Volunteers were collecting trash and breaking down tables. In a few hours, it would be like the drive never happened, but it had. We'd done something. Together. "Hey," Claire said suddenly, "when this is all done, when everyone's gone, do you want to grab actual dinner? Not cafeteria food, not vending machine pretzels, real food. Maybe even sit at a table with tablecloths?" I stared at her. Are you asking me on a date?" She bit her lip. I told myself I'd wait, that I'd be professional and patient. But seeing you today, working so hard for your sister, rallying all these people, I don't want to wait anymore. I want to have dinner with you. I want to talk about things that aren't treatment plans and blood counts. She stopped, took a breath. "I want to see where this goes. If you do," my heart was hammering. "What about the rules, the ethics?" I talked to my supervisor, explained the situation. "As long as I'm not making medical decisions based on personal feelings, and as long as I disclose the relationship to the hospital, it's manageable, frowned upon, but manageable." She stepped closer. I'm willing to manage it if you are. I thought about all the nights at that vending machine, all the conversations, the stolen glances, the moments where we teetered on the edge of something more. I thought about Lily's words. Life's complicated. Doesn't mean you can't be happy. Yes, I said. Let's have dinner. She smiled, that brilliant, transformative smile that made the whole world feel lighter. Okay, then. There's this Italian place in River North. Tiny, family owned. Best pasta in the city. You're really selling it. I'm trying to impress you. Claire, you showed up at a vending machine every night for 3 months and made sure I didn't starve to death. You're already impressive. She laughed and the sound was pure joy. 8 o'clock. I'll text you the address. It's a date. It's a date, she agreed. Dinner was everything I'd hoped for and nothing like I expected. The restaurant was tucked away on a quiet side street, the kind of place you'd never find unless someone local showed you. Red checkered tablecloths, candles in wine bottles, walls covered in framed photos of someone's Italian grandmother. We sat in a corner booth, the noise of the city muffled by old brick walls. Claire had changed from her event t-shirt into a simple black dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. Without the white coat, without the hospital setting, she looked younger, more vulnerable. I feel like I'm on a first date in high school, she admitted after we ordered. Is it weird that I'm nervous? Extremely weird. You regularly make life or death decisions. This is just pasta. Pasta with someone I actually care about. Higher stakes. She fiddled with her napkin. I haven't done this in a long time, Ethan. The dating thing. Most people can't handle being with a doctor. The hours, the emotional toll, the fact that I'm always on call. My last serious relationship ended 3 years ago because he said I was married to the job. Were you? Probably. It was easier than dealing with my own stuff. She met my eyes. But I don't want easy anymore. I want real. Even if it's messy. Messy I can do. My whole life is messy. The food arrived, ridiculous portions of pasta in rich aromatic sauces. We ate and talked. And for the first time in months, the conversation wasn't about Lily or hospitals or treatment plans. We talked about normal things. She told me about her apartment near Wrigley Field, about her habit of reading mystery novels at 3 a.m. when she can't sleep. I told her about my one-bedroom rental in Logan Square, about my failed attempts at learning guitar, about my dream of traveling, anywhere, everywhere, once life settled down. Where would you go first? She asked. Italy, probably. See where my grandparents came from. Then maybe Japan. I've always been fascinated by their architecture, the way they blend traditional and modern. You should do it after Lily's in remission. Take time off. See the world. What about you? Where would you go? She thought about it. Iceland. I want to see the northern lights. Stand in that vast, empty landscape and just breathe. Reset. She smiled. Maybe you could come with me. To Iceland? Why not? In this hypothetical future where Lily's healthy and you're taking time off and I've managed to schedule a vacation. That's a lot of hypotheticals. I told you, I'm an optimist. We lingered over dessert. Tiramisu we shared with 2 forks. And then walked along the Chicago River, the city lights reflecting off the dark water. It was late September, the air turning cold, and Claire shivered in her thin dress. I gave her my jacket without thinking, and she pulled it close, breathing in the scent of it. This is nice, she said softly. Normal. I'd forgotten what normal felt like. This doesn't feel normal to me. It feels significant. She stopped walking, turned to face me. We were on a quiet stretch of the Riverwalk, alone except for a few distant joggers. Significant how? Like something starting. Something that might actually matter. Might? Will, I corrected. Will matter. She stepped closer, her hand finding mine. I'm scared, Ethan. I've built my whole life around being in control, having answers. But with you, I don't have answers. I just have this feeling that if I don't at least try, I'll regret it forever. Then let's try. No expectations, no pressure, just see what happens. She nodded, and then she was kissing me. Soft at first, tentative, like we were both testing whether this was real. But then it deepened, her hands in my hair, my arms around her waist, and there was nothing tentative about it. It was months of tension finally released, of feelings we'd been holding back because of timing and circumstances and professional boundaries. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against mine. "Well," she said, "yeah, we're doing this. We're really doing this. Looks like it." She laughed, the sound slightly unsteady. "My supervisor is going to have a field day with the paperwork." Worth it? Absolutely worth it. We walked back to where she'd parked, holding hands, not saying much. But the silence was comfortable. When we reached her car, she turned to me. "I have an early shift tomorrow, 6 a.m. So this is good night. For now. But Ethan," she pulled me down for another kiss, this one quick and sweet. "I'll see you at the vending machine, 1 a.m., same as always. Some things don't change. Some things shouldn't." I watched her drive away, my jacket still carrying her perfume, my lips still tingling from her kiss. The city hummed around me, cars honking, people laughing, the distant wail of sirens, normal city sounds. But nothing felt normal anymore. Everything had shifted. The whole world looked different. I walked back to my truck, my phone buzzing with a text from Lily. "How was dinner? Did you kiss her?" I typed back, "Go to sleep. We'll talk tomorrow." Her response came immediately. "That's a yes. I knew it. You're welcome, by the way. I'm an excellent matchmaker." Despite everything, the stress, the fear, the uncertainty, I laughed. Lily was still in there, still herself, still making jokes even while fighting for her life. I drove home with the radio turned up, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Not just hope, not just happiness. Joy, pure, uncomplicated joy. The days after our first date fell into a new rhythm. Claire and I were careful at the hospital. Professional, distant, nothing that would raise eyebrows. But our nightly meetings at the vending machine took on a different quality. We still talked about Lily's treatment, about the donor drive results, about the dozens of small details that made up our days. But now those conversations were punctuated by touches. Her hand on my arm, my fingers brushing hair from her face. Stolen kisses in empty hallways at 2 a.m. when no one was watching. It felt like being a teenager sneaking around, except the stakes were infinitely higher. 2 weeks after the drive, we got our first potential match. Claire found me in Lily's room, her face carefully neutral in front of my sister, but her eyes bright with barely contained excitement. "Lily, Ethan, can we talk in the conference room?" My stomach dropped. "Is something wrong?" "No, the opposite. Come on." The conference room was small, windows overlooking the city. Claire closed the door, pulled up a chair close to us. "We have a preliminary match. A 23-year-old woman in Oregon. She's a 9 out of 10 match for your markers, Lily. That's really good." Lily's hand found mine, squeezing hard. "What happens now?" "She's agreed to proceed with additional testing. If the more detailed workup confirms the match, we can schedule the transplant within 4 to 6 weeks. Claire's professional demeanor cracked slightly, her smile genuine. "This is huge. This is exactly what we've been hoping for." I couldn't speak, couldn't process. After months of hoping, of dead ends and disappointing test results, we had a match. An actual human being on the other side of the country who might save my sister's life. "What's her name?" Lily asked. "Registry policy keeps donors anonymous until after the transplant, but I can tell you she's a teacher, elementary school. and she was already in the registry. She registered 3 years ago after a student of hers was diagnosed with leukemia. Claire's voice softened. She's doing this because she knows what it means. Lily started crying. Happy tears, overwhelmed tears. I pulled her into a hug, and over her shoulder I met Claire's eyes. She was crying too, silently, her professional mask completely gone. Thank you, I mouthed. She nodded, wiping at her eyes. Let's not celebrate too early. We still need to wait for the detailed results, but this is really, really promising. The next 3 weeks were torture. Waiting for test results. Waiting for the donor's final approval. Waiting for insurance authorizations and transplant scheduling. Claire walked me through every step, explaining the process, managing expectations, making sure I understood both the risks and the potential outcomes. The transplant itself is relatively straightforward, she explained one night at our vending machine spot. We'll give Lily high-dose chemotherapy to essentially wipe out her immune system, both the healthy and cancerous cells. Then, we'll infuse the donor's stem cells. Her body will hopefully accept them and start producing healthy blood cells. Hopefully? There's always a risk of rejection or graft versus host disease, where the donor cells attack Lily's organs. But we have good protocols for managing both, and Lily's young, otherwise healthy. Her odds are good. Define good. About 65–70% long-term survival rate for her specific case. I did the math. That meant a 30–35% chance she wouldn't make it. Those odds were better than before, but they weren't guarantees. Claire must have seen the fear on my face because she reached across the table, taking my hand. I know the numbers are scary, but Ethan, this is her best shot. Without the transplant, her odds drop to less than 10%. With it, she has a real chance at a normal life. How long is recovery? 6 months to a year before she's fully back to normal. She'll be in isolation for the first few weeks to prevent infection, then slow reintroduction to normal activities. But yes, if all goes well, she could be back at school by next fall. Next fall, a year from now, Lily back in her dorm room, complaining about professors, gossiping about boys, living the life a 19-year-old should live. I want to meet the donor, I said suddenly. After. If it works, I need to thank her. That can usually be arranged. 6 months to a year after transplant. If both parties agree, the registry will facilitate contact. Claire smiled. But let's focus on getting through the transplant first. The surgery was scheduled for mid-November. In the weeks leading up to it, Lily had to go through the conditioning regimen. Brutal rounds of chemo that left her weak and nauseous. I took time off work, basically moved into the hospital, sleeping on the fold-out chair in her room despite the nurses' protests. Claire checked on us constantly, sometimes officially during rounds, sometimes unofficially at odd hours, bringing me real coffee and making sure I was eating. The night before the transplant, I couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., I found myself wandering the hallways, ending up at our vending machine. Claire was already there, leaning against it, staring at nothing. Couldn't sleep either? I asked. She shook her head. Big day tomorrow. I always get like this before major procedures. Even though I'm not the one performing the transplant, Dr. Reeves is handling it, I still feel responsible. You are responsible, in the best way. None of this would be happening without you. She turned to me, her face drawn with exhaustion and worry. What if something goes wrong? What if her body rejects the cells? What if... I pulled her into my arms, feeling her tremble against me. Then we deal with it, together. But Claire, you've done everything possible. You found the match. You guided us through this. Whatever happens tomorrow isn't on you. It feels like it's on me. Her voice was muffled against my chest. I've gotten too close to this case, to Lily, to you. I can't be objective anymore. Maybe objective isn't what we need right now. Maybe what we need is someone who actually gives a damn. She pulled back, looking up at me. Her eyes were red-rimmed, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. I'm terrified, Ethan. I'm terrified it won't work, and I'll have to watch you lose her. I'm terrified it will work, but there'll be complications I can't fix. I'm terrified of feeling this much about anything. Welcome to my world. I've been terrified since the day she was diagnosed. How do you function? I focus on the next thing, the next hour, the next meal, the next visit. I don't let myself think too far ahead. I cupped her face in my hands. Tomorrow, Lily gets her transplant. That's the only thing that matters. Not our fears, not the what-ifs, just getting her through tomorrow. She nodded, then kissed me, desperate, clinging, like she was trying to memorize the feel of it. When we pulled apart, she whispered, "Stay with me tonight. I don't want to be alone." "Your place or mine?" "The on-call room. I have to be here early anyway." We went to the same small room where she'd found me months ago, when Lily first spiked that fever. The narrow bed was meant for one person, but we made it work, lying face to face, her hand in mine. "Tell me something good," she said quietly. "About the future, the one where this all works out." I thought about it. Lily finishes college, becomes a teacher, like she always wanted, gets married, has kids, drives me crazy with how much she meddles in my life. What about us in this future? We take that trip to Iceland, see the northern lights, maybe stop in Italy first, eat our way through Tuscany. I'd like that. She was quiet for a moment. I've never let myself imagine a future with someone. Not really. It always seemed like a luxury I couldn't afford. And now I can't stop imagining it. Waking up next to you, making breakfast together, fighting over whose turn it is to do laundry, boring domestic things that feel revolutionary. That does sound revolutionary. She smiled, but it faded quickly. Promise me something, Ethan. If this doesn't work out, if Lily doesn't make it, promise me you won't disappear, that you'll let me be there for you. Claire, I need to hear you say it, because I know how grief works. I've seen families fall apart, and I can't lose both of you. My throat tightened. I promise, no matter what happens, I'm not going anywhere. Okay. She closed her eyes, exhaustion finally catching up with her. Okay. I held her as she fell asleep, listening to her breathing even out, feeling the weight of tomorrow pressing down on us both. Through the small window, I could see the city beginning to wake, delivery trucks making rounds, street lights flickering off, the sky gradually lightening from black to deep blue. Somewhere in Oregon, a 23-year-old teacher was probably waking up too, preparing for the procedure that would harvest her stem cells. A stranger who'd signed up for a registry years ago, never knowing she'd one day save my sister's life. The world was full of small miracles like that. People helping people they'd never meet. Love growing in hospital hallways. Hope surviving even when the odds said it shouldn't. I had to believe that tomorrow would be another one of those miracles. The transplant itself was anticlimactic. After months of buildup, of anxiety and preparation, it took less than an hour. Lily lay in her bed, connected to IVs, while a bag of stem cells, ordinary looking, like a blood transfusion, dripped slowly into her central line. Claire stood with me outside the room watching through the glass. Dr. Reeves, the transplant specialist, monitored everything carefully, but there was nothing dramatic. No emergency alarms, no last-minute complications, just a steady drip of cells that would hopefully rebuild my sister's immune system from scratch. "That's it?" I asked Claire. "That's it. Now comes the hard part. waiting to see if her body accepts them. Lily would spend the next month in isolation, her immune system essentially non-existent. Even a common cold could kill her. Visitors were limited. Everyone had to wear protective gear, and every surface was sterilized constantly. I moved into a hotel near the hospital, close enough to be there in minutes if something happened. Claire and I still met at the vending machine, but less frequently. She was swamped with other cases, and I was spending every possible moment at Lily's bedside, reading to her through the glass partition, playing music on my phone, telling her stories about what we'd do when she got out. The first week passed without incident, then the second. Lily was weak, nauseous but stable. Her blood counts were slowly starting to climb, a sign the donor cells were taking hold. "It's working," Claire told me 2 weeks post-transplant, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. "Her neutrophils are coming up. White blood cells are regenerating. This is exactly what we want to see." But in week 3, everything changed. I got the call at 4 a.m. "Claire," her voice tight with controlled panic, "get to the hospital. Now, Lily's in respiratory distress." I made it there in 12 minutes, breaking every traffic law. When I burst into the ICU, they'd moved her during the night. She was surrounded by doctors and nurses, oxygen mask on her face, monitors screaming. Claire caught me before I could rush in. "Ethan, wait, let them work." "What happened? She was fine yesterday." "Pneumonia. We caught it early, started antibiotics immediately, but with her immune system still compromised." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Through the glass, I watched them work on my sister. Lily's eyes were closed, her chest heaving with the effort of breathing. She looked so small in that bed, so fragile, like a strong wind could blow her away. "Is she going to die?" I asked, the words coming out flat, emotionless. I'd asked that question so many times in the past months that it had lost all feeling. "We're doing everything we can. The antibiotics should kick in within 24 to 48 hours. If they do, she'll pull through. If they don't," Claire's voice broke, "we have other options. Ventilator support, stronger medications. But Ethan, I won't lie to you. This is critical." I sank into a chair, my head in my hands. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep hoping and then having it ripped away. I can't keep watching her fight for her life over and over. Claire sat beside me, her hand on my back. I know it's too much. But Ethan, she's still fighting. We can't give up while she's still fighting. What if fighting isn't enough?" She didn't answer, because there was no good answer. Sometimes fighting wasn't enough. Sometimes people died despite everyone's best efforts. We both knew that. I stayed in that waiting room for 3 days. Claire brought me food I didn't eat, coffee I barely touched. My crew stopped by, Marco, Jamie, Deshawn, sitting with me in shifts, not saying much, just being there. Lily's friends came too, crying in the hallway, leaving flowers and cards the nurses wouldn't let into Lily's room because of infection protocols. On the 3rd night at 11 p.m., Dr. Reeves came out. His face was unreadable. "She's stabilized. Fever broke an hour ago. Oxygen levels are improving. The antibiotics worked." He allowed himself a small smile. "She's going to be okay." I couldn't move, couldn't speak. Claire grabbed my hand, squeezing hard. "Can I see her?" I finally managed. "Not tonight. She needs rest. And we want to keep the room as sterile as possible. But tomorrow, yes, she was asking for you." After he left, I turned to Claire. She was crying, silent tears streaming down her face. "We almost lost her," she whispered. "God, Ethan, we almost—" I pulled her close, and we held each other in that sterile hallway, both of us shaking with relief and residual fear. Around us, the hospital continued its endless rhythm. Monitors beeping, nurses making rounds, the intercom paging doctors. Life and death, constantly cycling, never stopping. But we didn't, I said into her hair. We didn't lose her. Not this time. Not ever. She's going to make it, Claire. I can feel it. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. When did you become the optimist? I learned from the best. She laughed, the sound watery but genuine. Come on, let's get you back to the hotel. Actual bed, actual sleep. Lily's going to want you sharp tomorrow. I let her drive me, too exhausted to argue. At the hotel, she walked me to my room, made sure I actually got into bed. She sat on the edge of the mattress, brushing hair from my forehead. I should go, she said, but she didn't move. Stay, I said, please. I don't want to be alone tonight. She kicked off her shoes, lay down beside me fully clothed. I pulled her close, her back against my chest, my arm around her waist. We fit together perfectly, like we'd been doing this for years instead of months. Ethan, she said quietly. Yeah? I love you. I know it's terrible timing and probably against a dozen hospital protocols, but I need you to know I love you. My heart stuttered. You're right, terrible timing. She tensed, started to pull away, but I held her tighter. I love you too, I finished. Have for a while now. I just didn't know how to say it. She turned in my arms, facing me in the darkness. Really, really, you're the most incredible person I've ever met, Claire. You're brilliant and compassionate, and you've saved my sister's life. How could I not love you? She kissed me, soft and sweet and full of promise. When this is all over, when Lily's better and life is normal again, let's do this right. Dates and dinners and lazy Sundays, all of it, I agreed. We fell asleep like that, tangled together. And for the first time in months, I slept through the night without nightmares. Lily's recovery was slow but steady. The pneumonia cleared. Her blood counts continued to improve. 6 weeks post-transplant, she was discharged to outpatient care, moving into a special apartment near the hospital designed for transplant patients, sterile, controlled, monitored. I visited every day after work, bringing her favorite foods when she could eat, reading to her, watching endless episodes of terrible reality TV. She was still weak, still bald, still dealing with nausea and fatigue. But she was alive. She was healing. Claire came by too, officially checking her progress, unofficially hanging out, the three of us becoming an odd little family. Lily teased us mercilessly about our relationship. You two are so obvious, she said one night, watching Claire automatically hand me the remote without being asked. You finish each other's sentences. You communicate in looks. It's disgustingly cute. We're not that bad, Claire protested. You really are, but I approve, so carry on. Christmas came. We celebrated in Lily's apartment, just the three of us. Claire cooked, terribly it turned out, and we ordered pizza instead. We exchanged small gifts. I gave Claire a framed photo from the donor drive, the three of us smiling in front of the main tent. She gave me a book on Italian architecture, with a note inside. For when you're ready to chase that dream. Lily gave us matching mugs that said, World's Okayest Couple. Thanks, Lil. Real heartwarming. You're welcome. I'm a treasure. In February, 3 months post-transplant, Lily got the news she'd been waiting for. Her biopsy showed no signs of cancer. Complete remission. The donor cells had worked. Her body had accepted them and was producing healthy blood cells. We cried. All three of us, in Dr. Reeves's office, unprofessional and overwhelmed and so damn grateful. She's not out of the woods yet, Dr. Reeves cautioned. We need to monitor her closely for the next year. Complications can still arise, but this is the best possible outcome at this stage. That night, Claire and I went back to that Italian restaurant where we'd had our first date. Same corner booth, same red checkered tablecloths. But everything felt different now, lighter. The weight we'd been carrying for months had finally lifted. "She's going to make it," I said, still not quite believing it. "She's going to make it," Claire confirmed. "And we made it too, through all of it." "What happens now?" She smiled. "Now we live. Now we stop existing in crisis mode and actually build that future we kept talking about. The one with Iceland and lazy Sundays? That one. Though maybe we start with something smaller. Like dinner that doesn't involve a hospital cafeteria. Revolutionary." We held hands across the table, and for the first time in forever, I let myself imagine it. A real future. With Claire. With Lily healthy and happy. With space to breathe and dream and be more than just survival mode. 6 months later, Lily returned to DePaul for summer classes, easing back into normal life. Her hair had grown back, curly and dark, shorter than before, but healthy. She'd regained weight, her color returning. She looked like herself again. Claire and I officially moved in together, finding a 2-bedroom apartment in Lakeview, close to the hospital for her, close to my construction sites for me. It was small but bright, with big windows overlooking the lake. We filled it slowly, secondhand furniture, plants Claire somehow kept alive, my drafting table in the corner where I'd started sketching again. One Sunday morning in July, we were having coffee on our tiny balcony when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Hi, is this Ethan Cross?" A woman's voice, young, nervous. "Yeah, that's me. This is Sarah Mitchell. I was Lily's donor." My heart stopped. Claire looked over, concerned, and I mouthed the donor at her. "Sarah, wow. Thank you for calling. Thank you for everything. You saved my sister's life. I was hoping we could meet. The registry coordinator said you were open to it. I'm visiting Chicago next month for a teacher's conference. If you and Lily are available?" "Absolutely. Yes, we'd love that." We arranged the meeting for mid-August at a cafe near Millennium Park. Lily came too, healthy enough now to be nervous and excited. Claire offered to come for support, but I told her to stay home. This felt like something Lily and I needed to do on our own. Sarah turned out to be exactly what I'd imagined, and nothing like it. She was petite, with strawberry blonde hair and freckles, wearing a DePaul t-shirt that made Lily laugh. "No way, you went there too. Class of 2021, education major?" They bonded immediately over shared professors and campus stories. I sat back and watched, stunned by the randomness of it. This stranger from Oregon who happened to register, who happened to match, who saved my sister's life, and now shared a college alma mater. "Why'd you sign up?" Lily asked. "For the registry?" Sarah's expression grew serious. "I had a student, Marcus. He was 7, sweetest kid. Leukemia. We did a drive at the school trying to find him a match. I registered then." She paused. "He didn't make it, but I stayed on the registry because I thought maybe I could help someone else's Marcus." Lily reached across the table, taking Sarah's hand. "You did. You helped me. And I'm going to be a teacher too, because of people like you. Because you showed me what it means to fight for kids." Sarah started crying. Then Lily was crying. And I was crying, right there in public, not even caring. Before Sarah left to catch her flight, she hugged us both. "Take care of each other," she said. "And Lily, live big, okay? For both of us, for Marcus, for everyone who didn't get this chance." "I will," Lily promised. "I absolutely will." Touch. A year after the transplant, we organized a small gathering at Grant Park, same spot as the donor drive. Just close friends and family, the construction crew, some of Lily's classmates, nurses from the hospital. Claire even convinced Dr. Reeves to come. We weren't celebrating just Lily's remission, though that was part of it. We were celebrating the community that had rallied around us, the strangers who'd registered as donors, the friends who'd shown up with food and support, the medical team who'd fought for her. Lily made a speech, standing on the small stage Marco and the crew had built. She was strong now, vibrant, her voice carrying across the crowd. A year ago, I was dying. That's not dramatic. It's just true. And I'm standing here today because of all of you. Because of a teacher in Oregon I'd never met. Because of my stubborn brother who wouldn't let me give up. Because of a doctor who went way beyond her job description. She smiled at Claire. Because of a community that proved people are fundamentally good. She paused, composing herself. I'm going back to school full-time in the fall. I'm going to become a teacher. And I'm going to tell my students that when life gets hard, and it will, they have to keep fighting. Because you never know what miracle is waiting around the corner. Sometimes it comes in the form of a stranger's stem cells. Sometimes it's a brother who sits with you every night. Sometimes it's a whole community that refuses to let you face it alone. The crowd erupted in applause. Lily stepped down, immediately mobbed by friends. I felt Claire's hand slip into mine. She's really something, Claire said. She is, you both are. Ethan, I need to tell you something. My stomach dropped at her tone. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. The opposite, actually. She turned to face me fully. I've been offered a position, leading a new pediatric oncology research program. Better hours, better pay, and it would let me focus on finding better treatments instead of just administering existing ones. Claire, that's incredible. Why do you sound worried? Because it's in Boston. It would mean leaving Chicago, leaving Northwestern. She paused. Leaving you unless I come with you. I know it's a huge ask. Your business is here, your crew, Lily, is going to be fine. She's in remission. She's got friends, school, a whole life here. And my crew, Marco's been wanting to take over for a while anyway. I pulled her closer. Claire, I'd follow you anywhere. Boston, Iceland, the moon. Wherever you go, I go. You mean that? I've spent the last year watching you save lives and never take credit. Watching you burn yourself out for other people's kids. If this job lets you change the system, make it better, that's not even a question. She kissed me, right there in front of everyone. When we pulled apart, Lily was watching, grinning. Boston? She yelled across the crowd. Really? You're abandoning me? You'll visit, I yelled back. Every chance I get, and I expect a guest room. Deal. That night, after everyone left and we'd helped clean up the park, Claire and I walked along the lakefront. The city sparkled behind us. The same city where we'd met over terrible vending machine coffee and a crisis neither of us thought we'd survive. Are you scared? I asked. About the move? Terrified, but also excited. What about you? Same. But I've learned that the scary stuff, the stuff that makes you uncertain, that's usually where the good things are hiding. I stopped walking, turned to face her. I love you, Claire Morrison. I love your terrible cooking and your 3 a.m. mystery novels and the way you care too much about everyone. I love that you saw me at my worst and didn't run. I love building a life with you. She was crying again, happy tears this time. I love you too. I love your sketches and your dedication and the way you make me believe in happy endings. I love that you trusted me with your sister's life and then with your heart. So we're doing this? Boston and research and whatever comes next? We're doing this. I kissed her as the sun set over Lake Michigan, the water turning gold and pink, the city lights beginning to blink on. Somewhere behind us, I heard Lily's laugh, strong and healthy and full of life. Everything we'd fought for, everything we'd survived, had led to this moment. It wasn't the ending I'd imagined 2 years ago, standing in that convenience store parking lot with a bag of groceries, facing my sister's diagnosis alone and terrified. But it was better than anything I could have dreamed. It was real and messy and complicated and beautiful. It was life, full and vibrant and worth fighting for. And somewhere in Oregon, a teacher named Sarah was probably grading papers or lesson planning, never knowing that her decision to register as a donor had created ripples that touched so many lives. That her cells were rebuilding my sister's body. That her kindness had given us all a second chance. The world was full of small miracles, people helping strangers, love growing in impossible places, hope surviving against impossible odds. And sometimes, if you were really lucky, those miracles found you at a hospital vending machine at 1 a.m. in the form of a brilliant doctor with kind eyes who taught you that even in the darkest moments, there's always light waiting to break through. But 2 years later, the research facility in Boston was everything Claire had hoped for. State-of-the-art equipment, a team of brilliant scientists, funding to pursue innovative treatments. She thrived there, publishing papers, speaking at conferences, slowly changing how pediatric oncology approached patient care. I found work with a boutique architecture firm, finally using my degree, the one I'd gone back to school for, taking night classes while Claire worked. The projects were small but meaningful, designing accessible spaces, reimagining old buildings. It wasn't construction, but it felt right. Lily graduated from DePaul with honors, got a teaching job at an elementary school on Chicago's South Side. She visited us quarterly, regaling us with stories of her students, showing us drawings they'd made. She'd started a program at her school, teaching kids about bone marrow donation, about community service, about helping others. Sarah visited Chicago twice to speak to the classes, and watching her and Lily together never stopped being surreal. On a crisp October evening, Claire and I stood in our Boston apartment, bigger than the Chicago one, with an actual office for her research work and studio space for my drafting table. Through the window, fall colors blazed across the common. "I have something for you," I said, pulling out an envelope. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside were 2 tickets to Reykjavik, departing in 3 weeks. Her hand flew to her mouth. "You remembered?" Of course I remembered. Iceland, Northern Lights, that trip we kept promising ourselves. I pulled her close. We've been so busy building our careers, I realized we'd forgotten to actually live. So I booked us 2 weeks. No work, no obligations, just us. She kissed me, soft and lingering. "You're perfect." "I'm really not, but I'm trying. That's all anyone can do." We stood there as twilight deepened, holding each other, watching the city lights blink on. Somewhere a few blocks away, in a hospital not unlike the one where we'd met, doctors and nurses were fighting for patients' lives. Families were keeping vigil. Love and hope and fear were mingling in sterile hallways. And somewhere in Chicago, my sister was tucking her students in at an after-school program, telling them stories about being brave, about never giving up, about the miracles that wait in the darkness if you just hold on long enough. Life wasn't perfect. It was still messy and complicated. Claire still worked too much. I still woke up sometimes in a panic, checking my phone for emergency calls. We still remembered the dark times, how close we'd come to losing everything, but we'd survived. More than that, we'd built something beautiful from the ashes of crisis. We'd found each other in the worst possible circumstances and decided to stay. Hey, Claire said, breaking the comfortable silence. What are you thinking about? Vending machines, I said, and terrible coffee. She laughed. That's random. Is it? If Max hadn't gone crazy over that sausage. I stopped, realizing I'd mixed up my stories. But Claire understood anyway. If I hadn't been at that hospital every night, if you hadn't decided to check on the exhausted guy buying pretzels at 1 a.m., none of this happens. Fate, luck, timing. A series of small decisions that added up to everything. I pulled back to look at her. I'm grateful for all of it, even the hard parts, because they led me to you. That's the most romantic thing you've ever said. I've been saving it. She rested her head on my chest, and we swayed slightly to music only we could hear. Through the wall, our neighbor's TV murmured. Outside, traffic hummed. The world continued spinning, indifferent to our small happiness. But in that moment, in that apartment, we had everything. Love hard won, life fully lived, and the knowledge that whatever came next, we'd face it together. Ethan? Claire said softly. Yeah? Thank you for taking a chance on the scary doctor who kept forcing you to eat. Thank you for seeing me, for making terrible coffee taste like hope. She smiled against my shirt. We should probably get better coffee. Probably, but where's the romance in that? We stood there as night fell completely, holding each other in the growing darkness, grateful for vending machines and hospital hallways, and all the unlikely places love chooses to grow. If this story touched you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs hope today. What part got you the most emotional? Let me know below.